Good evening, committee. I'm Kathleen Mallard, Planning and Sustainability Manager with the City of Oxnard. This evening, I'll be presenting an ordinance regarding regulation of expanded polystyrene. Polystyrene plastic is commonly known as styrofoam or rigid polystyrene plastic, and that is known in this report and throughout this presentation as EPS. EPS is most commonly used for food and product packaging, and it is not processed locally at a local waste collection facility. EPS is slow to degrade and it leaches chemicals into the environment, and production and degradation contribute to litter and pollution. In July of this year, City Council approved an ordinance restricting the distribution of single-use foodware accessories and standard condiments, and that ordinance did not prohibit or restrict the use of EPS within the city. Our proposed ordinance takes a two-step approach. Step one is to regulate EPS and non-encased EPS through this ordinance. Step two would occur down the road to regulate rigid plastics and other single-use plastic when a Ventura County processing facility becomes operational and compostable recycling markets can handle the products locally. We anticipate that will occur in the next few years. This two-step approach is consistent with the approach being used in a number of other Ventura County cities. So what's proposed to be regulated in our EPS ordinance? It includes single-use disposable products, which are used for serving, transporting, or consuming prepared foods. This includes plates, bowls, trays, and items that are commonly known as hinged food containers or clamshells. Non-encapsulated EPS products are also proposed to be regulated by this ordinance. That includes packaging and cushioning materials intended for the packaging of products, equipment, or other items. And these are commonly commonly used for packaging of packaging of materials with the use of packaged peanuts, popcorn noodles. The businesses proposed to be subject to this ordinance include those that are typically known as food providers. It would also include warehousing and manufacturing businesses that use EPS for the packaging and distribution and shipping of products outside of Oxnard. In our work and research, we estimate that represents about 1,300 food providers, persons, businesses, or warehousing and manufacturing businesses within the city of Oxnard. We do have some carve-outs within the proposed ordinance. And just to list a few here. One would be food which is packaged outside of the city, shipped into the city, provided that the materials are not altered or repackaged. The other is EPS insulated coolers. That would be where someone may receive a cooler shipped into the city where there is a pharmacological product or medical supply that is shipped into the city to transport a material that is for consumption in the city. Additionally, EPS containers, plates, or trays for raw, butchered meats, fish, and poultry that are not manufactured within the city or altered within the city are proposed to be exempt. Finally, EPS materials generated and manufactured outside of the city, including shipping boxes and wholly encapsulated EPS products, basically materials that are shipped into the city, would be exempt from this ordinance. There are other items as well on the slide, which I won't read, but are also proposed to be exempt. When this item was presented to committee in February, And then also as a result of community engagement, there were questions regarding the cost differential for compliant material. Our research indicates that it's roughly 2 cents more per unit for disposable foodware and for EPS compliant materials. We also found that there were no supply chain issues, that production is robust, and that there are local sources available which are EPS compliant. Engagement efforts also helped us identify local vendors which are producing non-EPS options for distribution and food packaging processes. The ordinance is proposed to take effect 6 months after adoption to allow time for outreach to impacted businesses and organizations and coordination with other city departments. This period will also allow businesses and organizations to use previously purchased non-compliant products and receive information about resources on where to purchase compliant product. This phased operative date for the EPS ordinance is consistent with the implementation schedule in other jurisdictions. It's recommended that there be a leniency period of 6 months after adoption of the ordinance that will continue until 1 year from adoption of the ordinance. Violators cited within this leniency period may submit proof of purchase of any non-EPS containing foodware or products in any amount totaling or exceeding the amount of the fine in order to comply with the ordinance, and that would be in lieu of payment of any fine. The ordinance would then be fully enforceable within 12 months after adoption, and the leniency period would end at 12 months. In February, the committee received an update on the EPS ordinance. Following this meeting, city staff developed an interested parties list which targeted businesses which may use EPS. The businesses identified focused on food establishments, as well as wholesale warehousing businesses and mobile food vendors. In total, print and email outreach went out to approximately 1,300 businesses and organizations. In addition, notification included a link to the city's webpage to direct interested parties to this site for an update on our city's EPS work. As a result of the various outreach efforts, a carve-out for fish and meat processing facilities was added to the proposed ordinance due to the lack of non-EPS compliant packaging, distribution, and shipping alternatives. A survey that was developed showed general support for an EPS ordinance and the proposed 6-month leniency period. Community concern was expressed for the development of a compliant material replacement program and also its support for bilingual materials. The identification of a dedicated non-compliant drop-off location and the date by when unused non-compliant materials should no longer be used was an identified concern. And in total, the issue of how to reach the community was an issue that had community support and concern for. A summary of the staff outreach, engagement, and survey efforts is within attachment 5 of the staff report. Staff's recommendation is that the Community Services, Public Safety, Housing, and Development Committee recommend City Council approval of the EPS ordinance to regulate the use and distribution of EPS food containers and products. This concludes our presentation.